Hi everyone, if you're new here, my name is Jamie and I post videos every Sunday. So today I'm sharing every dollar we spent on our wedding. I haven't seen a lot of content like this and it is a little bit daunting to be laying out all of this on the internet, but I was reflecting on our wedding planning process, and a big challenge I found personally was creating an educated budget, because I found there was a lack of transparency around the actual figures, the nitty-gritty of what a wedding actually costs. Until you're really in the middle of the planning process and obtaining quotes from vendors, it just might seem quite unclear. At least that was my experience. So I'm hoping this might be helpful if you're about to start wedding planning, you're in the middle of it, or if you're just curious about what a wedding might actually cost you. Of course, a wedding planning process is so personal to you and your partner, your financial circumstances, what you've always envisioned for your wedding, what's important to you, what you're willing to spend your money on. In my situation, and very much to my surprise, I found that I was not a big wedding person and I didn't care so much about the details. But really taking a step back and thinking about what was important for us really helped guide our decision making throughout the process. So for some context, Key and I planned our wedding right in the middle of COVID. We didn't really want to wait, so we planned a very small wedding. It happened in Perth, Western Australia, and we were living in Melbourne at the time, but all my family were here. So we had 30 guests in total, and I would say that's a pretty small wedding. And I'll kind of run through some more context of what actually happened on the wedding day, which definitely increased how much we ended up spending. But anyway, starting with the wedding ceremony, there was a spot in Perth that I had always been interested in, and it was Queen's Gardens in East Perth. The license to hire it out for the ceremony for 4 hours was $400 in total. So it allowed us to use one side of the gardens, but of course it wasn't exclusive use because it is still a public park. I had to also hire out separate furniture. In total, we spent $1,030. Breaking down that figure, that included the deluxe ceremony package, which had the arbor, some artificial flowers, all of the chairs, the signing table, it had some lanterns, and it also had the aisle runner. The figure also included 6 parasols. So I was really worried about the potential hot weather, so we bought those parasols just in case. But then we started getting worried about the potential rain because the forecast had changed closer to the wedding. We ended up including 4 quite large market umbrellas as well. And we also hired a 100-liter esky with ice because we wanted to provide some snacks and some drinks before the ceremony actually started at the location. And of course, I needed a table for the snacks and drinks, so we hired a 1.8-meter trestle table with white cover. And that fee also included the delivery, the setup, and the packing up. Now, in terms of flowers, I thought because that ceremony package already included the decor and some artificial flowers, I didn't need any more than that. So I just went with a florist, the After Hours Co. And I bought some everlasting bouquets for myself and my maid of honor. And we bought 4 boutonnieres for Key and 3 groomsmen. In total, that was $380. And honestly, I look back on the decision as a really good one in the wedding planning process, just because I absolutely love that now I have my wedding bouquet and it's gonna last forever. So for me personally, it was money well spent. Now turning to our celebrant, that cost us $550. And I will say that some of the quotes that we received for a celebrant was upwards of, I got, 1.4K. I even got one around the 2K mark. So I thought 550 was a great deal. Okay, now for some context. In the lead up to the wedding, the week before the wedding when we had flown into Perth, the weather forecast was looking pretty bad. bad. Every time we checked, it kept getting worse and worse. At first it was a light drizzle. That's why we're like, ah shit, maybe we'll get the market umbrellas. And then it was like heavy rain. Then the day before the wedding, it was like heavy rain and thunderstorms. So we ended up changing our ceremony location in the last 24 hours. By some miracle, we got the Oxford Hotel Leaderville, so we were able to book out their function area. And obviously that was a big lesson because we didn't have a wet weather plan because our wedding was mid-November in Perth, WA, which is known for having predictable weather, but obviously that didn't work out. So the Oxford hotel fee was $585, and that also included some food and drinks for guests, which was really great. Because we had already paid that ceremony license fee at Queen's Gardens, because we were outside of the notice period, we couldn't get our money back. So we decided that once the rain had settled down, of course it settled down right after our ceremony, we went to Queen's Gardens anyway, to our original location, to take some wedding photos. And I'm really glad we did that because the photos turned out amazing. If you watched my wedding dress shopping video, you already know that I found my dress at a sample sale, and it was around the 3.2K mark originally, and I got it for $756. I was so stoked about that. Still am. I had to get alterations, obviously. That process cost me $954. I just went with the store that I bought the dress from, which was the Sposa Group in Melbourne. Now the veil, I didn't spend any money on my veil, and it was so perfect because my best friend Olga actually lent me her veil for the big day, and it was my something borrowed. So that was really beautiful and just special. So I think it's a great idea for your something borrowed if you're doing that tradition. And I also had to dry clean my wedding dress. It was $394 for dry cleaning. To actually ship my wedding dress from Melbourne to Perth, I just went with my wedding dress store's recommendation, which was their delivery service. So I just dropped off my dress and they mailed it over to Perth to my mom's house for $100. And I'm really glad I did that because it was stressing me out thinking about how to hand carry my huge ass wedding dress on the plane. I just don't think I could have done that. So I'm really glad I went with the mailing option. Now, Key's suit was something that we didn't expect to be such a large cost because at first Key didn't want a custom suit, but then we went to a suit store and he tried one on and he was like, oh my God, he was really feeling himself and I thought it looked amazing. So we're like, you know what? You deserve this, babe. So in total, his suit was $1,800. And with the groomsmen suits, we just went for something super simple to match Key's look, which was very like black and white. My brothers really just went with suits that they already own. So there was just one groomsman and we paid $250 towards that. We kind of split that cost, which was really generous of him. For the dress for my niece, who is the flower girl, that was $97.50. And we also had the costs for the food, the drinks, and the decor for the original ceremony location at Queen's Gardens. And that was in total $274.22, which we didn't end up having, but it's okay because those snacks and drinks are in my pantry and they're ready for my family housewarming. So money not wasted. For the dinner reception, I wanted to wear a different dress because I just thought I wasn't going to be so comfortable in my big poofy dress. I bought a dress from Manning Cartel and that was $400. And now for the ceremony, we knew we wanted some music, and Key and I fell in this like deep rabbit hole of YouTube, and we were watching a bunch of string quartet videos. And Key and I were in such strong agreement that this was something we needed, and it was something that we really were comfortable spending our money on because we just thought it was so beautiful. And there are different selections. So for example, you could get a solo musician or you could go for the whole string quartet. and Key and I landed with the string trio. So we wanted the string trio to be playing when guests arrive, and I think that really set the tone. It got everyone in that wedding mood. And we also wanted the string trio to play for a little bit after the ceremony while we were taking photos and while people were mingling and eating and all of that. So in total, that was $655. And we went with Riverside Ensembles in Perth, and they were really, really great. So for the wedding dinner, we booked a private function room in a restaurant in the Perth CBD called the Heritage Wine Bar. It was such a beautiful building and a beautiful function room, and it was reasonably priced as well and didn't have an additional room hire fee, which was very rare. For the dinner, it was, I'm pretty sure, 3 courses, definitely, if not 4. And it was $95 per person, which I thought was a great price. So in total, for 32 people, the dinner food part was $3,040. And we set a bar tab at 1.2K, and we basically guesstimated how much we thought our guests would be drinking. And 1.2K turned out to be such an accurate estimate. We literally were down to the last bottle at the end of the night, so that was really great. Now, I didn't really care too much about like the whole dinner table decor because I knew that I was in good hands with the Heritage Wine Bar. I just really wanted each guest to have their wedding place card and to have their wedding favor next to it. So with the wedding place cards, I bought them from Etsy and it was $64.70. And for the wedding favors, I was surprised that Key agreed with me, but we bought these little honey jars, which I thought were the cutest thing. I'm surprised that Key was fine with spending a little bit more to have the little honey spoon dipper. To me, I'm like, no regrets. It was super cute. In total for the favors, that cost $238. Now, with our photographer, I was so happy we found Amy Tomlinson, and she cost us $2,200. And that also included like a pre-wedding photo shoot, and it was a really great way for us to meet Amy before the big day, feel a little bit more comfortable taking photos with her. And that coverage was around, I want to say like 6 to 8 hours. So I felt that was a really great price, especially when I was receiving other quotes for around like 3 to 4K. In terms of our videographer, I'm really lucky because my cousin Bernadette is a videographer. So we just went with her. Of course, we still wanted to pay her, but we got a very discounted rate. We paid Bernadette $1,275, and that coverage was like the whole day, from the getting ready process all the way to the speeches at the dinner. So of course that was a really great price. In terms of the getting ready stage of the day, I went with a hairstylist with elegant edge hair, and specifically Mel. I loved what she did, and that hairstyling on the day was $130. And the hair trial that we did prior to the day was also $130. And I would say that the trial is worth it because it just gives you a good chance to have a real feel of what your hair will look like. Make sure you're happy with it. I also paid for the hairstyling costs for my mom, my maid of honor, and my cousin. And in total, that was $360. I also paid an additional fee for the hairstylist's travel costs and the parking fees. So that was $106. Now, in terms of makeup, my maid of honor refused to let me pay for her makeup. So she paid for her own costs, which I'm really grateful for and really appreciate. And I did my own makeup for my wedding, which I was so nervous about, but I'm really glad I did. And with my mom, she ended up doing her own makeup, which was a really big deal for her, but she had been practicing in the lead up, and we had practiced doing her makeup together. So that turned out really well as well. We hired a car and a private driver for the day, and that cost $440. That took a lot of stress out of the logistics and thinking about who can drive us where. Personally, for us, that private car was money well spent. Another big cost was our accommodation. We booked the Ritz-Carlton in the CBD for 2 nights, the night before the wedding and the wedding night, and that was $1,374. We definitely went a little bit more luxurious for our accommodation. So for some of the other extra costs, I bought some bridal robes, so for myself as well as my mom and my maid of honor, and I bought them from Etsy and it cost $167. And my maid of honor also didn't let me pay for her dress. She found something on Facebook Marketplace, which was amazing. We ended up buying presents for our bridal party, so for all the groomsmen and all the bridesmaids, and we just wanted to do that as a big thank you for all their help in the lead up to the big day, especially when we had rescheduled it so many times. And that included little boxes as well as cards that we all got from Etsy. In total, that was $363 for those presents. So finally, we also bought some thank you cards, which we made on Vistaprint, and we sent them all out to our guests. And in total, that was $46. And because of cash rewards, we got $5 back from our Vistaprint purchase, so it was $41. And in total, I'm sure you guys want a grand total for our wedding of 32 people, basically 2 ceremony locations, rescheduled like 3 or 4 times. I have lost count. It was $19,755. My husband and I were really happy with how much we spent on our wedding in the end. I really do look back on it as the happiest day of our lives. And I forgot to mention this at the very beginning, but we went with a wedding website rather than paper invites. We went with a free wedding website called With Joy, and it really worked out for us because we had guests in Perth and Melbourne. And looking back on it was definitely a good decision because of all the changes we made to the date and to the locations. So paper invites for us would not have been it. But anyway, that is a wrap on this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you found it at all helpful, please comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.